This video is going to cover the topic of class expectations for our math class. I'm going to be doing a mixture of writing and typing, but you'll be needing to write all of this down in your notebook. Tomorrow I'm going to ask to see your notes, and then we'll have a chance to discuss the notes. So whatever I write, I want you to write as well. If you need or want to write anything extra, because I have shortened things a little too much, feel free to add whatever it is you need to make sure it makes sense to you. But let's start by making sure our page is set up and ready to go. So in class, you've received a bookmark, and we're going to use that bookmark to draw 2 lines to set up our page. The first will be a vertical line down the left-hand side, and then you can flip your bookmark and use the width of your bookmark to do the same across the top to make a horizontal line. And that's the procedure you'll use for all of our videos. Now you can see we have a header space here at the top. At the top of every video, we write the date and the topic. So you can see I have a space there where you would fill in the date when you're watching this video, and the topic, which is class expectations. Still, here at the top, there's a little more space, and this is where we are going to write the essential question, and we do this on every single video. The essential question is what guides our learning. It's the question we plan to answer that day, or what we plan to learn in this lesson or gain from the work. So today, the essential question would be, what are the class expectations for Miss White's class? Take a moment and make sure that you have that essential question at the top. And remember that you can always pause the video to give yourself time to take notes. And I would expect everybody to do that throughout the year in every video. I'm going to break this into parts, so you'll see that sometimes I have to turn the page because I run out of room. As long as you have room on this side here, this right-hand side of the page, you can go ahead and keep using it. You might be able to get things sometimes onto one page, but if you do run out of room, just turn the page and keep on moving, right? Keep filling it up as you go. The first thing I want to share is what it looks and sounds like when we enter the classroom. When you arrive at math class, I want to make sure that we wait for the previous class to leave. We don't want to just rush into the room. So just wait until you have the go-ahead from me or an invite from me to enter the classroom to help kind of avoid chaos or confusion as one class is leaving and the other is coming. When you do enter the room, remember it is your job to go directly to your seat, your assigned seat. If you need to sharpen your pencil or grab materials, do that quickly and quietly so that you can be back in your seat by the time the bell rings. If you aren't in your seat when the bell rings, you aren't on time. The other thing that you'll want to do when you walk in the room is have your planner out. I'll have my planner on the overhead, and when you walk in, I'll want you to record the homework or the assignment in your planner. All of these things should happen before the bell rings so that when I walk in the room, when the bell rings, we can hit the ground running and get started with our work. You'll hear in a little bit that we'll do something called a do now every day when we start class, but we'll talk about that more as we get going together in the classroom. For the sake of space, I've gone ahead and turned my page and set up my lines again. You probably still have room on your first page, and that's fine. If you still do, just keep filling that in, and when you're ready, turn your own page. The next piece we're going to talk about is what it looks like when we are following expectations during class. Part of class will be something called direct instruction, which is when I'm doing a lot of talking and giving information or giving you the tools you need for the activity for the day. During direct instruction, it's important for you to stay on task and stay focused. So that means we're not having conversation with our neighbors or doing homework for other classes. We're with each other, we're doing the math together. You can also take notes when needed. There'll be times when I'll say you'll need to record this, but you can also take notes at any time so that you know what it is that you'll need to do when I'm not giving those instructions anymore. It's also important that you are listening respectfully either to myself or to your classmates who might be sharing. And if you'd like to share, feel free to raise your hand and share ideas with us as well. In addition to direct instruction, there's also a lot of independent or partner work time in our class, and we want to make sure we know what that looks like as well. And once again, the expectation here is that you are focused on the math. So again, staying focused on the math is important. If you're collaborating with others, maybe you're using Math Talk and you're having math conversations, you'll also be expected to have respectful language, as well as using a respectful voice level so as not to distract others. When we're talking about voice level, we'll talk about this more in class, but you'll often hear me give kind of a number for a voice level. And a respectful voice level would be a 1, whispering kind of quietly to your neighbor to share, and sometimes maybe a 2, right? We never want to be using an outdoor voice during independent time, as it makes it harder for others to focus. Something that students often ask is how they can have permission to use the restroom or get water, and that's a great question. Everyone deserves a chance to take care of those things, so we'll talk about that under the topic of hall passes. The first thing to know is that ideally here at Selwood, we ask students to use the restroom and fill their water bottles in between classes. Right now that might seem really hard as you're learning your way around, but I promise it gets easier as the weeks go by. However, I realize that that doesn't always work or things happen and you need to use the restroom in the middle of class. So just know we do have a policy here at our school that we're not to use the restroom or go in the hall the first or last 10 minutes of class for various reasons, and we do follow that here in our math class. Additionally, I personally require that you do not use the restroom or use a pass when we are having direct instruction. That means when I'm talking or when we are a group sharing ideas, I'm going to ask that you wait to use the hall pass. After all, I don't want you to miss any information or directions for the activities that we might be getting ready to start. So when the time is right and you decide that you need to use the hall pass, you'll go ahead and sign out on a sign out sheet that we have and take the hall pass and wear it around your neck. And then when you come back, you'll sign back in and return the hall pass. In our class, just one student has permission to leave at a time. There's just one pass, and so you'll have to wait your turn if that pass is not available. And as you're hearing this and writing it down, if something is confusing, one thing to know during any of our videos is that this space over here is for any questions that you might have. So if you're listening to all this and you're a little confused, feel free to jot down a question and we can go over it tomorrow in class. There's just one little bit of expectations that I want to share before the end of this video, and that's what it looks like when you leave the room. I do have classes that come in one after another in this room, and so we want to be sure that the room is ready for all the students. So I just have a few expectations for you to keep in mind. One thing, which is a huge pet peeve of mine, is that sometimes students start to rustle their papers or pack up early. I want you to always wait until I give you a signal that it's time to pack up. And we stay at our spots until that time, and I expect all materials to be out that we're working on until you hear me say otherwise. At that point, you'll want to check your space for any materials or anything that needs to be thrown away, just kind of taking care of the space around you. As the bell rings and you are dismissed from class, be sure that you push in your chair so that it's not a hazard for others who are coming or going. And then when it's time, you'll go ahead and calmly walk out and just be mindful of your classmates and the people around you. There's no need to push your way out the door. In fact, if you do that, I will usually ask you to come back and try again, which will make you end up leaving later than you had even hoped. Right? So these are some things to think about for our class, some things I expect from you. If we have trouble remembering these expectations, I will be providing reminders, but I want us to all have these in our journals and I'll have a chance to talk about this as we get back in class together tomorrow.